So joining us right out of the gate tonight, driver of the number 11 Chevy Camaro in the NASCAR Xfinity Series and part-time in the number 16 in the NASCAR Cup Series this season, we are joined by Kaulig Racing's own Josh Williams. Josh, welcome to the show. How are you tonight?
Oh, pretty good, buddy. Thank you for having me. I do appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate having you on. This all kind of came together down in Talladega just a couple of weeks ago, and glad it did. So, jumping right into things, new ride this season. Let's talk a little bit about how the transition has been switching over to Kaulig this year in 2024.
Yeah, definitely a change of pace for me. Bigger team, a little bit more information, people, resources, different equipment, things like that. So, we're still trying to get in our own here. We've had some good runs, and then we've also struggled a little bit. So we're trying to tune that in and really focus on the second half of the year to have some good finishes.
So, top 20, jumped back a couple of weeks to Talladega, ended up finishing 20th. You were up front there towards the end of it. Let's talk a little bit about Talladega before we jump into the most recent 2 weeks of racing for you.
Yeah, we had a shot to win right there at Talladega. We did everything right and, put ourselves in position to be on the front row there on that last restart. And unfortunately, there were some guys running out of fuel, and we got tagged in the lift rear. So, it's anybody's game, at those speedway races. I always say at those places you got to be more lucky than good, right? So, unfortunately, we didn't have the luck on our side. But, Kaulig Racing brought some good cars, and we had a lot of speed. Just unfortunately wrong place at the wrong time.
So, looking at so far this season, it looks like 5 top 15 finishes. What's the transition been like going from a lower-funded team to Kaulig and the learning curve so far?
I guess it's just, the way that I've drove these cars the last, 7 years is way different than I need to drive them now. So it's almost like starting over again, unfortunately. But, we're gaining on it, and we have had some success, and we're still trying to hone it in on, what that feel looks like. So we're making progress on it, and we've had some good luck, had some bad luck, but that's part of racing.
Let's jump back to 2009. You were one of Humpy's Heroes driver development program drivers. Talk to us a little bit about what it was like learning from a guy like Humpy Wheeler, who has been in the sport for years and really carved a name as a great promoter. Talk to us a little bit about how you got your start.
Yeah, that deal was pretty cool. I actually wasn't even old enough to participate in that program. I was still 14 turning 15, and you had to be 15. And Ken Reagan called me. He said, "Josh," he said, "we really want you to be in this program, and we know that your birthday's about in the middle of it, so we're going to kind of give you a pass here and put you in this deal." So getting to hang out with all those guys and, listen to some of the stories and listen to their insight, I think it helped me out a lot to put me in the right position to be able to do what I do. I'm just a kid from Florida that moved to North Carolina when he was 15 years old and wanted to race. So it worked out good for me, man. Just listening to Humpy talk in his house about, what I needed to do to get better and to be around the right people. And, surrounding yourself with the right people in this sport is huge.
This year you got to run in the Cup car at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Of course, for the folks who know you and know your story, last year you made quite the story down at Atlanta Motor Speedway in 2023 when NASCAR parked you. And that set off T-shirts and memes and pictures. And let's go back to 2023. Kind of tell us about how that whole thing transpired that day.
Yeah, I think that was probably the best thing that I ever could have done for myself. I tell people all the time they don't make them like me anymore, and that was, it's not that I was, I wasn't doing something, out of spite or whatever. I was just voicing my opinion. So it worked out good for me, and it opened up a lot of doors and opportunities for me to further my career, and it also gave the fans a little bit of glimmer of hope that there's still some real racers out there.
So, of course, back to Talladega, you were up on stage Saturday morning with a group of us that was dubbed the main event, a mullet competition that you were one of the judges for. Talk to us a little bit about that day, and of course we just had the winner of that contest on the show here 2 weeks ago, Dega Jesus. He beat Dale Tanhart. That was some really strong competition. But talk to us a little bit about how that whole thing came about.
It was a couple weeks before that. They kind of joked about it, and I was like, man, why wouldn't we do something like that? And everybody was really excited about it, and we actually talked about it a couple races later, and I think we're going to make that like a tradition. I think we're going to try to promote it a little bit better, and maybe even make a trophy and something like that. Just kind of get involved with the fans, man. NASCAR fans are, I think, the greatest fans in any sport, as far as their loyalty and how much they appreciate the drivers and the crews. So it was a blast to get to do that. Man, I tell you what, it was pretty cool to see old Dega Jesus and Tarnhart go at it there for the title.
Absolutely. Now you get to roam the boulevard the night before. Any wild stories from the boulevard when you were down there, or any stories from the past that kind of still stick with you about Talladega?
Yeah, there's a few of them, man. It's a pretty interesting thing. It changes from year to year. Some years are more mellow than others, but yeah, it was pretty cool. I had Dave Portnoy running around with one of my koozies in his hand for a while, interviewing people while they were talking about cocaine and all kinds of crazy stuff. That was probably the most memorable boulevard moment. So I don't know if that's good marketing or bad marketing, but my face was on TV. But unfortunately, some guy was a little intoxicated.
So one of the real important questions, a couple of folks told me to make sure I asked you. First and foremost, you're probably one of the guys right now on the circuit. Noah Gragson a couple of years ago had one too, but the mullet flows right now with that number 11 Kaulig Xfinity Series driver. Talk to us a little bit about how the mullet came back into play for you, and what you got to do to maintain that thing.
Man, it was kind of like right before COVID, and me and my wife were talking about it, and I was like, I'm just going to let my hair grow out. And then I let it grow out, and then she's like, man, we need to make that thing into a mullet. So it was actually her idea. And, man, this is all natural. Man, the curls are real, the whole deal. So my wife cuts my hair for me at home, so that's good for me. And, she keeps me in shape on the side of the mullet things.
So we've got Charlotte coming up for you in 2 weeks. What are you looking for in leading into the month of June, leading through Memorial Day weekend for your race team?
I think the biggest thing for us is just, we need to get the 11 team back, back into the top 10. I think that's where we need to be every week. And, we're working hard to get there. And, I enjoy Charlotte. It's a fun track. It's getting rougher over the years. So it's multiple lanes too, man. And that's where we can race and really have some fun. So, hopefully we can get things pointed in the right direction here when we go to Charlotte and, have a good solid weekend and, get the 11 team back where it needs to be.
Another important question to come through here. You've done a couple of Cup Series races. What's on the schedule for the Cup Series going forward the rest of this season?
I'm not 100% sure. I know I got a couple more. Just kind of playing it by ear and seeing what's available and things like that. I'm not really specific on the Cup stuff. I told them if there's an opportunity, for me to get some seat time and whatever. I wasn't really concerned on what track or where it was. So just kind of, playing that by ear and, whatever I can do to get some seat time in the Cup car is kind of what we're looking at.
Of course, our home track up here is New Hampshire Motor Speedway. That's coming up June 22nd for you in the Xfinity Series. Favorite thing about coming up to New England when you come up here racing? Man,
I like hanging out with the fans at the racetrack. It is, it's awesome. We've built a few relationships with some people up there over the years, and roaming around the campground and just hanging out with everybody is really enjoyable, man. And I like that racetrack. I've had some good runs there in the past, and I think it's probably I don't know how to put this, but it's probably the the funnest track with that configuration that you could go to. It still has some characteristics. Races like a short track, but then at the same time, you've still got the aero characteristics too. So I enjoy that place a lot, man. But the fans up there they're awesome.
Is there a particular food or staple or something you have to do when you make the trip to New England every year?
Not really. I don't even leave the racetrack when I go out there. I'm right there at the racetrack the whole time, so I don't get to go out much. So no, I don't really get to travel and get some lobster rolls if that's what you're hinting at.
Well, the important thing, too, up in Loudon, the invites there, of course, make your way over to the X Lot and Red 38 and Todd Father Tavern. That's where the party is at, right at the top of X Lot. So invites always open to see you up there. Really important final question for you before we let you go tonight. Talk to us about the sponsors, the guys that make the race car go round, that help you week in and week out.
Yeah, we've had our core sponsors, that's helped us a ton this year to really make this thing happen. Alloy Employer Services, J.R. Pine, he's been a partner with us for multiple years now and continues to grow. And I talk to that guy probably 2-3 times a week, man. And we don't even talk about racing most of the time. So it's pretty cool to have that relationship with a sponsor like that. And Kaulig1.com, they've been a big part of our deal and are growing as well. Helping us bring in more partners and expand their relationship with us as well. So those two guys are definitely our core sponsor that's really been helping us push this thing forward in 2024.
Perfect little segue as Josh Williams, driver of the number 11 for Kaulig Racing in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, Chevy Camaro, joins us.